Who was this glorious martyr whose name is marked on the floor of this ancient church? The answer is unclear. The Israeli Antiquities Authority unveiled this beautiful mosaic in the central city of Beit Shemesh, close to Jerusalem, dating back to the Byzantine era. The mosaic was unveiled along with other artifacts discovered in the 3-year excavation of the 1500-year-old church.
During the course of the excavations, we actually found the crypt, and it was found complete. The crypt and the didactory inscription in the courtyard associate the site to a glorious martyr. The martyr is unnamed, and the identity is still a mystery to us. We're working on it. Who was assumingly buried here in the crypt inside the martyria of the basilica.
The name of the glorious martyr is not mentioned, but one name which does appear is Emperor Tiberius II Constantine, who ruled the Byzantine Empire during the late 6th century CE. He funded the church expansion.
The church was so important that it received a donation from the Byzantine Caesar Flavius Tiberius II. The inscription was received, and shortly after he had passed away, and he erected a chapel, a side chapel to the church. Elaborate floors associated to this phase include depictions of leaves and pomegranates and birds, culminating in the bema of the chapel, which has a depiction of an eagle wearing a bulla, a signet, sign of the Byzantine Empire.
According to Benjamin Storchan, the director of the excavations, the church was located in a remote area far from a major urban center.
The monastery, we'll call it a monastery as it's mentioned in the inscriptions, was not your agrarian monastery. It was based on tourist economy, pilgrimage tours who had came to visit the site, to visit the glorious martyr, to pay veneration at this site, supported the site for a number of years. And when I say a number of years, the archaeological evidence allows me to conclude that the church existed for 200, almost 300 years, even into the Islamic Empire.
Some of the church's small artifacts are going on display at the Bible Lands Museum in Jerusalem.
It's one of the largest collection of oil lamps made of glass were found here in this church. They're going to be shown at the museum.
It's still unclear what will happen to the church, since it's located in a construction site next to an ultra-Orthodox neighborhood.
Jerusalem sub-district refers to the area outside Jerusalem overlooking the Judean hills. Though it seems it's on the outskirts of the holy city, there are some interesting discoveries here which may highlight the significance of the area. One such is Beit Itab, located near the modern Israeli city of Beit Shemesh.
So we're in Beit Itab, which is another one of these Crusader-era fortified farms. You can see it's got the walls here, and it's made from stone, but they also have sort of Crusader-era type of architecture, like this vault area here, and over there we have some arches that are typical of the Crusader period. But this didn't just end with the Crusades. After the Crusades were over, the indigenous Arabs lived here, the Muslims lived here, and this continued to be a village, and they used the Crusader ruins to live on. This was a house that way back in the 19th century, the European explorers would come here, and they mentioned this village, Beit Itab, as having huge 6-meter-high fortress walls.
Beit Itab is known for its Crusader fortress, but acclaimed 19th century archaeologist C.R. Conder suggests it's also the biblical Rock of Etam, mentioned in the Book of Judges as part of the story of Samson the Great.
Samson is from Surah Eshtaol, which is just down the hill here. And we read a story how he had a Philistine wife, and he went to visit his wife, and the father-in-law says, "No, you can't visit her now, but I have other daughters." And he got so angry, he took foxes, tied their tails together with a torch in between them, and set them loose into the dry fields of the wheat of the Philistines, and it burned them up. And they were so angry, they took his wife and his father-in-law, and they burned them as well. And he ran away. And he ran to what the Bible says to Etam, which is sort of like an eagle's nest. Well, the explorers said, maybe this is Etam. And what happened in Etam? He was hiding here in a cave. And the Philistines were very angry. And they went to the Jews, and he said, "We want you to bring us Samson to punish him." And they came here, and they talked him out of coming out of the cave. They tied him up. They brought him down and they handed him over to the Philistines. But he was so strong, he broke the ropes. He found the jawbone of an ass and he slew them.
During the Crusaders' era of the 11th century CE, Beit Itab was the residence of Frankish crusader Johannes Gothman. Although not inhabited by a famous crusader order, the story of Beit Itab is no less dramatic and full of mysteries, drama and romance.
During the Crusades, this area, which was inhabited by Muslim families, was given to a Christian knight, a Frankish knight. His name was Johannes Guthmann. We know his name from the records. Well, there was a battle, and he volunteered to go fight in the battle and was captured by the Muslims and held for ransom. And usually when the knight would go off to battle, he would take his wife, his woman, and put her in a chastity belt and say, beware, don't mess around, wait till I come back. And if they were captured or killed in battle, many times the wives and girlfriends would rejoice because they were free. But this wife was different. She loved him, and she got the ransom note. She went to the Jerusalem, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and she sold the farm for the money to buy back her husband. We don't know what happened after that, but it's a hell of a love story.
In the 19th century, Beit Itab was a battlefield between different Muslim factions fighting for dominance in the area.
This whole area, the Jerusalem area, was divided among clans. Clans ruled this area. This one was ruled by a clan called the Laham clan, and they were fighting with another clan in Beit Natif over there, and there was massacres, and they would fight until eventually they came into a pact.
In the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, Israeli troops captured the site, which was a Palestinian village. Ever since then, it's been deserted. But the voices of Johannes Gothman and its other inhabitants still echo in the ruins of Beit Itab.
The Holy Land is known for its desert sites and high hills. This place, however, is based near a river.
In the Holy Land, there's not a lot of water. So whenever there is water, there is life. And when I say there is life, I mean there is people living and working in the land. Over here, you can hear it's winter time now. There's a lot of water. But over here in this specific stream, there will be water also in the summer. And this is very important. And it will make this unique place as a place that all year long, there will be people living here and fertilize and working in the land, growing vegetable. And this is something that didn't change until modern time.
The history of Ga'aton goes back to biblical times and is associated with the famous story of King Solomon and his deal with the king of Tzor.
The deal was that Hiram, the king of Tzor, will give trees that will help King Solomon to build a temple in Jerusalem, and King Solomon will give him 20 cities in the north of Israel. Ga'aton is among these cities. Now, when we're talking about the famous deal, we have to remember that this is something unique to the place of Ga'aton always. The people living over here, they fertilize the land, but they don't own it. It's a sad thing. Solomon, above their head, decide, from next year, you're going to give your oil, your vegetable, your fruits, not to the temple in Jerusalem, to a king far away in Sidon, to King Hiram.
During the Crusader era, a big farm was built here. There is no evidence to associate this farm to a specific Crusader order, but it seems it was indeed significant and impressive in size.
When the Crusader orders are coming into Israel, the main issue for them is how to rule this country. And the main issue for them that they are minority. It's society only men. They have the wife and the children are back in Europe. They are only warriors. Now, the main system of the Crusader was to build castles. There is a tower, there is a wall, there is sometimes a system of tunnel that they can run away, but the system is castle after castle after castle after castle. But still, you have to give food to your army. So, in special areas and in special cases, they were building agricultural farms. We know it from the Judea mountains, and over here in Ga'aton, they were probably building agriculture farm. the people that were working here were locals that didn't own the land and didn't own the fruits and the vegetables that they grew. And this was a farm to supply food for the Crusader army.
Perhaps the most significant era of Ga'aton was during the Ottoman Empire of the 19th century. Back then, it was under the custody of the famous Sursok family, Christian Arabs from Lebanon.
The Sursok family take advantage on the Ottoman system, and in a few years they are buying more than 800 dunams of land here in the Galilee and another 200,000 dunams of land in the Valley of Israel. They get the contract to build that train that the Ottoman Empire want to build here, and a few years after that they get the contract, they will sell it to the German and the Italians. And then they have the land over here, and they are bringing effendis, which is the managers that will stand over here and will be loyal to the family that have banks in Beirut, and will take the oil, the vegetables, the fruits of the families that living here, and will sell it in Beirut. Sir Oliphant, that was traveling over here, write in his diaries that it's enough just to mention the name of Sursok and to apply that you have some connection with them, and everybody will do whatever you want. Now, the interesting thing is that when the Zionist movement arrived over here, and this is people from Europe at that time, they are doing the deals with the Sursok family and the Khoury family and other important Palestinian families above the heads of the local people that, again, living over here.
Today, Ga'aton is deserted and controlled by the Israeli Nature and Parks Authority, which plans to invest in the area. The farm was never excavated, and so its many stories and evidence from the past are still buried under the surface.